Through fire and war, we suffer. So one of the fascinating things about the sixth house is that we don't really know a lot about them, and we can only make conjecture, we can only make interpretations. So right off the bat, what kind of video would this be? This video is going to be more my interpretation, and I'm going to allow you, the listener, to listen to both sides of these arguments, and you can determine for yourself what kind of house this really is. But there are some customs and there are some interesting dialogues that they have that we are going to discuss. And there's certain strategies that they have that they use in the games that we're going to discuss as well, as this does highlight and more or less show an inkling into what their house was really like and what sort of deeds or traditions they may have had. Now, besides that, let us begin. The sixth house, the House Dagoth. So let's start off with, I really hate to do it, but the most complicated part of this lore, okay? I already got a headache just trying to decipher it. But I think it's very key and important to understand how this house works and to understand how you can immerse yourself in their ideology, how to think like a House Dagoth member, why they are so bitter, why they are so angry and so vengeful. So let's start with it. The Red Mountain. The Battle of Red Mountain. Yeah, this is going to be a rough one. So we have I'm not joking, we have about 7 different interpretations of how this battle went, possibly more. It depends from culture to culture, from book to book. It depends from person to person. But in this, we do get a lot of House Dagoth. Some of the stories don't even mention them, some stories do. Bottom line is that we have a few interpretations of House Dagoth, how the sixth house may have worked during this time. This is all the way back in the first era. So, one thing is for sure. House Dagoth, Dagoth himself, the legendary figure, they discovered that somehow the Dwemer uncovered the heart of Lorkhan, the heart of a dead god that has the power of a god still coursing within it. The Dwemer have developed tools to access the power of the heart. They just are trying to figure out how. Dagoth reveals this to Nerevar, who is more or less the king of all the Chimer. And Nerevar, with his queen Almalexia, his advisor Sothasil, and Vivek, they charge out, leading the Chimer into a massive war against the Dwemer. Now, here's where things diverge. Here's where things get very, very, very muddy, very, very quickly. Some hands say that the Dwemer were trying to use the power of the Heart of Lorkhan to give immortality to their entire species. Some say otherwise. Some say that the Dwemer were trying to use the power to basically rule over the entire world. Doesn't matter really, because the story is not about them. The story is about House Dagoth. So on one hand, we see that they are very good at intrigue. They're able to somehow sneakily discover what the Dwemer are up to, which up until this point, the Dwemer are actually allies with the Dark Elves. And in some stories, House Dagoth was actually on the side of the Dwemer. And some of this confusion, some scholars have discussed, is mostly due to the fact that the magic and the incantations that House Dagoth utilized was very Dwemer in origin. It looked like they used magics and used tools that were of the Dwemer people. So it could be that House Dagoth actually did betray everybody and revealed this plot only to help the Dwemer and fight off the Chimer. It could be just simple and mistaken. It could just be that they used very deep understandings of Dwemer magic to fight against them with their own incantations and spells and tools. Either way, we have 2 different stories here. On one hand, we hear that Nerevar, with all of the Chimer, unite, and they go to war against the Dwemer, and after killing the Dwemer, Nerevar gives these legendary tools that were being used by the Dwemer to access the power of the heart. He gives it and charges Dagoth with safeguarding these tools, which Dagoth studies these tools and discovers holy crap, these things are dangerously powerful. It literally does unlock the power of God in this heart, just like the Dwemer really anticipated. And during this time, Nerevar goes to his advisors and his queen and asks what they should do. Here's where, again, the story splits. On one hand, they say that Nerevar comes back with his counselors, and they see that Dagoth is refraining from helping them. He's telling them, no, these tools are too dangerous. I will not allow you to use them. I don't care what your purpose is. These tools are way too strong. You should not use these. And upon which Nerevar strikes him down, as well as with his council, who then betray Nerevar and kill him, so that way they get the tools. Another story goes is that Nerevar goes to his counselors, and they kill him, and then they go to the place that Dagoth was residing with the tools, and they beat him down and stand over him defiantly while they use the tools to give themselves godhood. Another story is that Dagoth takes these tools, he studies them, he realizes what they can do, and he decides to more or less try to hide them, but is stopped when his best friend Nerevar and him get into an argument about the danger of these tools, upon which Dagoth is killed by Nerevar. Bit of a different way of handling it. There is a lot of stories, and one of the cool things about Morrowind is that you actually meet all these people. They're thousands of years old by this point. The only problem with Morrowind is that there's never a point where you can ask them about what happened. There's never a time. You can read all the stories and you see all the conflictions, but there's never a point in time where you could say, hey, Dagoth, so what happened exactly? Hey, Vivek, you guys killed me, right? You guys backstabbed the shit out of me, right? Like, there's no way you could do it, unfortunately. There is some hints, though. Dagoth, when you talk to him at the end of the game, Morrowind, bit of a spoiler here, when you talk to him, you can tell him that you would join him, that you would have helped him out had he come and try to recruit you. But he tells you something that's very, very fascinating. He says, I thank you for your support, but I could never trust you after you betrayed me once. This is so fascinating. What does he mean by this? Is it true? Which side of the story was true then? Did House Dagoth really side with the rest of the Chimer and overtake the Dwemer only to be betrayed by Nerevar because Nerevar was greedy after talking to his counselors? Or was it simply that Dagoth just didn't like the direction that they were going with these tools, and the moment he spoke out, Nerevar just stabbed him through the damn chest, not wanting to talk to him? Like, what was the story? We have no fucking idea. Now you may say, how does this all tie into House Dagoth? Well, it's quite simple. We're talking about people here who are incredibly good at uncovering people's secrets. They were able to uncover that the Dwemer were able to do this, that they uncovered that the Dwemer were secretly planning to either rule the world or give themselves immortality through crazy magics and awesome tools. This is interesting, because when we see the Sixth House in Morrowind, we see that they are able to dream walk, able to go into your dreams and read your mind, but also take possession of you. They're able to mind control you from your dreams. Did they have this ability in the past? I think they could have. Maybe they didn't. Maybe this is a new ability, thanks to the Heart of Lorkhan giving power to Dagoth. Maybe that's where this power comes from. It is a very godly ability to go into someone's dreams and then mind control them. There is some other interesting things too, like the fact that there are so many stories of the Dwemer having Chimer allies, and it could just simply be a mistaken. It could just simply be that House Dagoth uses magics that are so eerily similar to the Dwemer. Perhaps they are Dwemer magic, which indicates a closeness to the Dwemer, that it was mistaken. People thought, oh, these guys must be working with the Dwemer. Or it shows their betrayal as well, that here they are, deep buddies, deep friends with the Dwemer, But once they uncovered their heresy to try to become immortal, they took their own power away from them, and they used it against them. This is fascinating. So already we have such a confliction. Like, Freezer, how am I supposed to roleplay as a House Dagoth? Whoa. This is such a confliction. Are they noble who just got betrayed, or are they these weird scheming guys who get really close to you and then use your own power against you? I can't tell you that. You have to determine it for yourself. One thing is for sure, though, is that as we get into Morrowind and we start exploring and we start fighting House Dagoth directly, we uncover some very fascinating rituals. They have honor. They have certain methods of conducting themselves. The main thing is personal. Personally, they are very religious and they are very strict in their doctrines. They believe that you are allowed to make the first blow against them as the challenger. So if I'm coming into your place because you're wielding a legendary artifact and I want that artifact, that makes me the challenger. That means I get to attack you first. Whether or not that attack works or whether or not that attack is successful doesn't matter. House Dagoth, they demand that you make the first move. They tell you all the time, shut up and attack me. Shut up, you're the challenger, strike me first. You're allowed that. That is all you're allowed. This is fascinating. These are some weird mages who are able to decipher plots and schemes, but then they fight like honorable warriors. They tell you straight up, hey, I'm not going to cast any support magic, I'm not going to do anything, you attack me, then I'll retaliate. This is, again, very interesting, and it leans into this idea maybe they were betrayed. Maybe they were, like Dagoth could have stated, I don't agree with your views, Nerevar. I don't think we should use these artifacts. But if you disagree with me, strike me, and I will defend myself. So we can already see that this house doesn't really believe in murder. They don't really believe in, oh, this guy is such an evil person, we're just going to kill him outright. No. They want you to make the first move. They'd rather taunt you. They'd rather tell you in your face, hey, your ideas are stupid, you're weak, you're pathetic, your race is inferior. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to put hands on me? Because once you do, I'm going to open up a huge can of whoop ass and beat you down. But let's talk a little bit away from this. Let's talk about Morrowind itself. How did House Dagoth work? Well, remember, we said a little bit of intrigue, so they're like stealthy thief, assassin things, but they're also magical. So in Morrowind, what we see is they're able to sit in their mountain and summon giant storms of plague, of disease, and they're able to cultivate diseases that destroy your body. They make your face all contorted, they mutate you into this nasty, mindless beast. A beast that is utterly loyal to their cause. A beast that they're able to tame. Yes, you are not a dark elf anymore, you're some grotesque, physically deformed monster who's infected with some nasty disease, but ultimately you can be used. You can be used as a foot soldier for their crusade. And you may say, what kind of crusade? A crusade to unite the dark elves and to wipe out all other races. This is the dream of House Dagoth. To wipe out the tribunal, to get rid of them entirely for their betrayal of House Dagoth and for their ambitions at becoming gods, which is to them heresy. And then to ultimately infect the world to wipe out everyone else and leave it a world for the Dark Elves. So not only are they sitting there in their mountain, summoning these giant storms of plague, infecting the landscape, killing plants, killing livestock, mutating whatever survives into monsters that they can control magically and have them attack their enemies, they also are doing smuggling. And this is how I could see people role-playing as a Dagoth house. You were a smuggler. You're a person who likes to go around sneaking, stealing, and getting things without authorities noticing. Or just being an assassin. House Dagoth would look to you. House Dagoth would want you on their side. There is a good quest in Morrowind where you're finding this house, this manor, and it is infested with diseased creatures, and you're like, where did these creatures come from? They're so far away from the ghost fence, which is the border of where House Dagoth resides, like How the hell these creatures get here? And you find this tainted artifact. And you're like, well, I don't know where that came from. Even the people there are like, I don't know where this came from. Either this mansion was owned by people who were secretly, for many, many years, secret worshippers of Dagoth, or they accidentally found this artifact and placed it in their house without realizing this artifact is poisoning them. This artifact is a conduit for Dagoth to insert his magics through. It's able for him to access your mind from this artifact. Who knows? But I do like that idea that you could be a House Dagoth person. You are approached to him in your dream, you're sleeping, and all of a sudden Dagoth shows you the betrayal the Dark Elves have suffered. How you've been mutated from a Chimer to a Dunmer by Azura because the Tribunal gods decide to defy the gods and utilize the power of the Heart of Lorkhan to make themselves gods, which is rather egotistical of them. And all because Dagoth challenged them and said, hey, this is wrong. They killed him. So now you say, okay, Dagoth, what can I do? And he says, there's a shipment, there's a crate. No one is there for you, but the crate does exist. It's been there for 100 years. I want you to complete the job. I want you to go there, pick up this crate, bring it into the middle of the city, and just let it sit there. People will come by, beggars will pick at it. Eventually, someone's gonna get screwed and pick at it in the wrong way. In return, though, the more devoted you are as a smuggler or an assassin to my cause, the higher up the echelon you'll go, and I'll be able to grant you immunity to these diseases. I will make you powerful beyond your dreams. You will be more and more indebted to my house when you do this, but at the same time, you'll get more and more power as you rise through the ranks. And if you rise high enough, if you become a high enough person in our house, we will invite you into the mountain, and I will transform you into an ash vampire, where you will serve as either a priest or a holy warrior, your choice, and you will become basically immortal. It's like, wow, dude, what kind of deal is that? That's a pretty good deal. And this is what we see in the game. We see people who are subliminally implanted these dreams saying, hey, you should kill this guy. Hey, you should kill this guy. Hey, you should kill this guy. And they wake up, walk around town, buy some food, and they see that guy walking in the street and they just go, huh, what do you know? And they just pull out their blade and just come over and run over and stab him right in the neck, kill him. And then they just start yelling, for House Dagoth, yes. Or they're just muttering insanity. They're just wishing that someone would stop pounding them in their sleep. And that's when the guards simply say, oh, okay, he's crazy. Okay, he's infected with the disease. Quick, kill him. Because they don't want it to spread. But unfortunately, they don't really know how to stop it from spreading. And there really is no way to stop it other than to destroy House Dagoth. But from here, we do see a bit of how they're made. While Dagoth and his lieutenants are very honorable, they do not allow themselves to make the first move. They demand you to make the first move. At the same time, when they enact their plans, they do so through intrigue, through subtlety. They will go in, they'll make your own neighbors possessed through their sleep. And then before you know it, your neighbor will come to you with a delicious cake. And they're like, you know, neighbor, we never really gave you a good welcome to the neighborhood. Here's a delicious cake. I hope you enjoy it. And as you're eating it, you're like, this is really good. Crunch. What the fuck was that? Wait, why is that nightshade? Isn't nightshade poison? And then before you know it, you're dead. This is how Dagoth works. Or your neighbor may simply say to you, you know, your house needs some decoration. Here, we have this beautiful lamp. And then you take the lamp and you realize this lamp does look pretty good in your living room. But at night, while you're sleeping, the lamp turns red. And before you know it, in your dreams, you're being invaded by Dagoth as he's coming in through this lamp. Or the lamp just exudes this weird aura that makes you feel like you got the flu. You're like, ugh, this lamp makes me feel sick for some reason. And as you pick it up to throw it away, all of a sudden your hand won't let go. And you go, what the fuck? And before you know it, you feel really, really sick. So you put the lamp back on the shelf and you're like, you know what, I don't want to touch it. but that sickness doesn't go away. You still feel it. You feel something different about you. So you're like, you know what, I'm just going to call off of work. I'm just going to stay in the house. And then before you know it, your face, your eyes, your hands start twisting and mutating. You feel sicker and sicker. Your mind starts going crazy. You start thinking you're hearing things, seeing things that aren't there. And before you know it, you've lost your mind completely. Your face is just this weird giant elephant trunk, and your hands are these long tentacled things that are used for scratching and digging people's flesh. And now you're a monster because the lamp was covered in diseases that your neighbor was protected from, but you weren't. This is House Dagoth, and this is how they function. Whether or not they've always been like this is unknown. Their history was erased entirely by the tribunal. The tribunal temple wanted nothing about them to live. So what we get is what we see. What we get is based off of rumors and conjecture. And if this video is a little unsatisfying for you, I can't really be blamed here. There's so much that's left for interpretation, it's hard for me to say anything. It's better off if I just present it as this neutral medium where you decide on your own. What do you think? Do you think they were honorable warriors who had to dive into magic, who had to dive into intrigue just because they were stuck in their mountain? Or do you think House Dagoth has always been sneaky, magical people who do practice some level of honor, whereas the Telvanni don't have any honor. In the contrast, Telvanni, they promote backstabbing. So maybe House Dagoth was the opposite. Maybe they were the magical magicians who simply said, if you're going to challenge me, I prefer it if you make the first blow, and then I'll retaliate. We'll do this honorably, as mages. Who knows? I still think it's very fascinating, though, the idea that House Dagoth still believes in a lot of the ideas that many of the other houses believe. They want Dark Elves to rule. They want Dark Elf society to exist, but the only difference is that it's a battle of religion. They believe that they should be worshipped, that the Numidium that they're constructing, the Akulakan, should be worshipped. They don't believe that the Tribunal, the Daedra, the Divine, they don't believe they should be worshipped at all. They would rather see them all destroyed, whisked away. And what's really fascinating is that Dagoth, by the end of it, he wants to do the same thing that the Dwemer wanted to do. He wants to make it where the Heart of Lorkhan makes every Dark Elf immortal, which is exactly what the Dwemer were trying to do, according to one of the stories that we talked about. But at the same time, he only wants them immortal if they are forever loyal to him, if they believe that he is right, and he wishes to do what the Tribunal has done, which is establish a theocracy where he is the head of the church. He is the head of this temple that he has concocted. It's kind of weird when you get into House Dagoth on how they hate people and they say why they hate them. But then you ask them what their goal is, and their goal is pretty much the exact same. Why do you hate the Tribunal? Well, because they declare themselves God. Okay, so what's your goal? My goal is to declare myself God. Oh, okay. Sure. Sure thing, dude. So what is it you hate about the Nerevar? I hate that you betrayed me. Okay. And how do you plan on doing your thing? I plan on betraying everybody. It's like, wait, what? Okay. So House Dagoth is very weird, and some of it is mostly due to Dagoth. This is why this is kind of a mixed lore video where we're talking about Dagoth and Dagoth, because it's kind of hard to separate the two. But besides that, I hope you guys enjoyed. This has been Freezer700, and tell me what you think down below, what you interpret this as. I could go either way with this. Either they're intrigue mages who steal away people's secrets and practice the most vile of incantations, or maybe they're honorable people who believe that magic is just a tool, but sneaking around and using their raw strength is the main way to go. Who knows? Besides that, see you guys next time.